So, one thing that's been on my mind the last several months, and something that I keep revisiting and going back to, is whether or not I should strive for greatness. Whether or not it's not only a worthy endeavor, but is it realistic and is it achievable? Can I become great? And with that comes a lot of other questions. You have to define for yourself what greatness is. You have to define what are the qualifications to when you make um, progress and you cross the threshold. At what point can you stop and sit back and realize that you've made it and you become great? And along with that, you have to decide what is the process and what path do I have to take in order to get there. And that's the whole name of the game. I think is visualizing the process, understanding where it connects to your objective, and getting after it. And I think the biggest key is consistency, and I think it's just it's all a matter of how bad do you want it. At the end of the day, no one can take from you your desire and your ambition. The only person that can take that away from you is yourself. And so one thought I always go back to is a scripture, and let's see, I think it's a principle that's taught in the Book of Mormon. I've read it in the Doctrine and Covenants. I wouldn't be surprised if it's also in the New Testament. It's basically, it says that few are called. No, sorry. Many are called, but few are chosen. And it says, and the question is asked, but why are they not chosen? And as a modern day application, we should consider, I guess, like CEOs, maybe like Elon Musk, people that are recognizable, that are respected, that have made a significant impact to society. Athletes, celebrities, whatever it is. How did they make it, and how did the rest of the population not make it? And so it's a multifaceted issue. But what I think is the biggest factor, the biggest indicator, I guess, of someone rising to greatness or staying in mediocrity is that everyone receives gifts from God. Everyone receives opportunities in life, but it's the people that don't give up and the people that choose to do and they choose to act. Those are the ones that make it. You can imagine that, like, for example, today is Martin Luther King Day. If you look at Martin Luther King, obviously he's a special person, but I wouldn't say that he wasn't any better than anyone else that was involved in the civil rights movement. He was one amongst like millions of people that were working towards a common goal. But for some reason, he was chosen, and he is the face of the movement. And what I think, this is my opinion, but I think that God, he wishes to choose all of us. That's his goal, is that all of us can realize a great potential and become something greater than we are right now. But what has to happen is that with the gifts and talents that he gives us, we have to be willing to drop everything and do what he says, understanding that everything he says for us to do is going to be the best thing for us. He has our best intention and best interest in mind. And so people like Martin Luther, not only Martin Luther King, like the actual Martin Luther, the original one of the Reformation, like the Reformationist person, every single person like that has had an impact on history, received an inspiration or received kind of like prompting from God as like a sense of purpose. And regardless of how much talent or how much they were given to start with, at some point they had to risk losing it all, and they just acted because they had that sense of purpose, and instilled in them was a sense of like of that this is the most important thing I can be doing right now and nothing else matters. And so each and every one of us has to find that within ourselves. We have to identify what is our biggest purpose and our goal right now, and not let anything get in the way. And so that's why, whether it be in the gym, in your job, in your family, whatever it is, you've got to get after it every single day. And it's not even a question. I think some of us are too easy or no, too quick to think about ourselves. It's too easy for us to be self-centered, not in a with an evil intention, but just like as a natural state of being. We like to reflect on our personal state and our condition. We don't often think about how other people have it harder than us, or that people in the past have had it way harder than us. And I like to think about the warriors and the soldiers, the people that, like, it was just a fact of life that fighting was needed, that war was a necessary measure to protect what was important. If someone was coming to steal or to invade your home, all you have is you and your will, basically, to defend and to defeat these forces that are trying to attack. And so back in those days, there's no question as to whether or not you have to fight, or whether or not you have to be strong or able or anything like that. It's just a fact of life. And so every day you're spending time preparing, strengthening yourself, working hard. Today it seems as if people have forgotten this part of life, and it's an optional thing now. It's something you can opt into, but some people can choose to never do it. And I believe that that's unacceptable. I think at this stage of human evolution, we're at the brink of losing it all if we don't wake up and realize that we need to build our strengths and we need to be prepared for anything. So here I am in the gym. I wanted to do some Romanian deadlifts, or whatever these are called, straight leg deadlifts. Um, Basically, the lack of nutrition is getting to me. If you guys have been following the last like 2 weeks or so, I've been trying to get a job so that I can pay for all the food I need to eat, because one thing I've noticed is that my progress in the gym is basically directly proportional to how much and how well I'm eating. And so since I've moved here, I haven't had a job, and I have some money in savings, but I really do not want to touch it. And so I've been using my money like really carefully to buy just enough food to get by. And so I can tell, because I have the mental drive, I want to go hard in the gym, but I can tell that my body is not responding as well as it could. And so today I did Romanian deadlifts. The last time I did this, I hit a really heavy weight. This time when I was working up, I could tell that my grip strength was failing and everything was just not as easy as it was the last time. But I'm in the process of starting a new job. The managers at this place are super, I guess, ineffective, or like they're taking the longest time to get back to me, to give me my schedule and everything. And so I have the job, I have the offer, but I haven't worked yet. And so as soon as that happens, I guarantee I will be eating a lot more, and I'll be in the gym going 10 times harder. I really want to show to everyone just like how this process works and how it goes, just because I spent so long trying to figure it out, and now I think I have a sense of direction of like where I want to go. It's kind of frustrating when you don't have all when everything is not in place in order to you, or in order for you to just give it your all. So anyway, just wanted to load my system, some heavy deadlifts. As I got up to a certain weight, like my grip strength was just not taking it, and so I put the bar on the ground and just did like a normal deadlift. I've been messing around with, so I've always done a conventional style deadlift, which is just standing with your feet at shoulder width or a little bit narrower. But recently I've been messing around with a sumo deadlift. A sumo deadlift is an interesting one because it works the outer hips and also your quads. You almost have to stand the weight up instead of just like using your back and your hips. Obviously, like it's more natural for me to do a conventional, but the sumo deadlift, I can tell how it's like mechanically more efficient. And you can probably lift more weight if you just practice the form. Right now I'm just working on learning the form and figuring out how it works. So I think this is the heaviest I went. Maybe I added tens on the bar after this, but let's see. This might be my last set. I'm just waiting to. Sometimes I'm just resting a lot these days just because, like I said, I don't have all the energy I need to. So coming back to the bar, adjusting my grip, getting my breathing under control. It's hard to see from this angle, but to get the bar off the rack, I put my feet forward, I touch my quads to the bar, and I just lean back and stand upright to just get the bar off. And then I go basically 3/4 of the way down, almost touching the ground, and then stand back up. This is just a motion that will isolate your back, because when the bar is on the ground, normally you have to use your legs to break the bar off the ground, but this time, because there's no contact with the ground, your back is the one that's primarily, your back and your hips are primarily the movers here. So yeah, kind of frustrated with my grip strength and everything, but I can definitely feel though that it's working my forearms every time I let go of the bar. Like I do a rep and stand back up, I can feel my wrists working in my forearms, so I can tell that my grip strength is going to improve just by doing this. And so I've toyed with the idea. I've kind of thought about getting wraps, and wraps are just tools. It's like you can basically glue yourself to the bar. You have the wrap attached to your wrist, wrap it around the bar, and put it in your palm again. And that's just so that you don't have to torch your grip strength trying to lift heavy weight, because often you'll exhaust your grip strength before you exhaust the strength of your frame, of your musculature. And so mechanically, I really think I could lift more than what I'm lifting right now, but due to my grip strength, it's not happening. So basically, one way that people get around that is by using wraps. But what I really want is to increase my grip strength as well, because I think if you can't even lift a heavy object with your hands, like, anyway, it's like I'm not trying to cheat anything. Basically, that's my mentality. Not saying that that you shouldn't use wraps, but just for me right now, I recognize that my grip strength is lacking, and so I want to make sure that that's also a focus of mine. So pretty soon, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna unrack the bar and put it on the ground, and we'll get into the conventional deadlift. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to go back to what I was talking about becoming great and becoming something more than you are right now. And so I've wondered about this for the longest time. So one of my kind of like my, not like my idols, my inspirations, I guess. I've learned to not have idols. It's not a good thing. But anyway, one of my inspirations has been J. Cole, LeBron James, and people like that. Hyper successful people that everyone sees and notices, and now people are growing to love them. And I look at where they came from. You look at J. Cole growing up in a single mother household, basically. Like, he had a father and a stepdad that were both horrible to his mother. And his mother grew up, he grew up with his mother being addicted to drugs. He had a super rough upbringing, but somehow made it. He was broke in college. He graduated and somehow signed a record label with Jay-Z. It became one of the rappers that has changed rap for, I'd say, for forever. He's done so much, and he came from nothing. LeBron James is also from a single mother household, grew up in Akron, Ohio, a poor community. He almost didn't make it through high school. He was so close to just getting into trouble and being involved in all those things that would derail someone's life, but somehow turned it around just due to being blessed with the athletic ability to play basketball. And now he's made more money than I think anyone has ever made in basketball. He's built a school in his hometown, all these things, and he also came from nowhere. I think this is just my thought, but it seems pretty apparent that God's hand is super involved when people rise above what's it called, being normal, and become basically like superstars. My thought is that it doesn't take anything super special. It only takes someone that's willing to act, and I already mentioned that. It's someone that regardless of the probabilities or the chances of success, they realize that they have a purpose and they have something special inside of them, and they trust in God. Whether or not they really know who God is at that point, they just know that they have something special to bring into the world and that only they can do it, and so they go after it and they pursue it relentlessly, and at some point it just works. So yeah, I wanted you to keep that in mind. Basically, if you're listening, wondering what your purpose is, just think about those people, those hyper successful people that came from nowhere, came out of nothing, but then made it into and turned it into everything, basically. So here, I think I'm going into my last rep on the deadlift, or maybe my last set or two. One thing I've learned is that this technique of of loading, where you get on your knees and you lift the bar with just your back on your knees. And this kind of like prepares your core and your system to take the weight of the bar, because I know a lot of times when I'm deadlifting in the past, I'll tug on the bar, and it feels a lot heavier than what I was expecting, and it kind of throws me off in the movement. And so if you kind of load your core right before, by getting on your knees and kind of shrugging the bar up just a little bit off the ground, for me that's enough, just to then I can stand right back up and then pull the weight, and it comes off the ground a lot easier. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of a breather, but let's see how this goes. Okay. Boom. So that's it for today. Have a great day. Get after it. Get off your butt. Go to the gym, and you'll be better for it.